From high atop 1926 Hollywood Boulevard, you're listening to SoFloRadio.com. ZNation. ZNation. Where consciousness is queen, love really is the answer. And making a difference is on the menu. ZNation. Organic beats and inspiring treats. Get your weekly dose of vitamin Z now. This is ZNation on SoFloRadio.com.
My name is Zayna the Gaia, and this is Emily Sunset Martinez, my co-host, and we are live right here on ZNation, SoFloRadio.com. We're broadcasting right from Hollywood, Florida, and we have special guest with us today, Jason Wasser. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Psychotherapist extraordinaire, amongst other amazing things that you do, Jason. We're going to talk all about that today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Very excited.
All right, girl, we good?
Yeah, we're good. I don't know what's going on. It's like,
we had a magnificent echo coming on the air today. It was exciting. Our opening ZNation opening had a beautiful echo to it. It was lovely.
yeah, I was like, whoa, is God trying to talk through the mic right now?
We're vibrating more than usual.
We just did a 2-minute meditation right before the show. So maybe like our bliss is coming out of us and into these mics.
It always affects the electronics when we move the energy through the chakra lines, and we tend to do that. Awesome. You guys, we're so excited to catch up with you this week. Got a lot to share. I had an awesome weekend this weekend. It was weekend, 5 or 6, I don't know, Shakti dance teacher training. I'm doing a training right now.
Very cool.
And yeah, and you know what's so cool? This weekend we talked about, the values, which is one way that the Vedic teachings talks about how the prana flows in the body. So it's just one, labeling that we give prana or energy moving through the body. And then we talked about the nadis, which are, also a way that's labeled to express the energy moving through the body in our system. And of course we talked about the meridians, cool, which is another lineage of talking about how energy flows. And it was really enlightening. And at the end of the day, there's so much information to learn. Yeah. And what there is to know is that that's what we are.
Right.
We are beings of light, beings of energy, and there's a lot of unseen. There's a lot of stuff in this third dimensional plane that we do not see with our eyes and with our usual senses that we're used to. And there's so much more to delve into.
Absolutely.
So we're going to delve a little bit more into that today. Yeah. So I wanted to share a little bit about a project that I'm creating right now. So I have a book called Thank You for HPV. It's a book that shares my protocol for healing and reversing the symptoms of HPV. HPV is a sexually transmitted virus that can get complicated by turning into cervical cancer, anal cancer, throat cancer, all if, we give it the right environment, it will grow. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because what we're creating is a series of book called Thank You For. I already have somebody writing Thank You for asthma. I have somebody writing Thank You for diabetes, Thank You for cancer, specifically breast cancer. And the intention is to, really put out there in a big way the message, yes, you can heal yourself, and look, other people have done it. And when we know this, when we're connected to, oh wow, I'm not the only one going through this, that's very, very healing.
It's the normalization of this experience. Absolutely.
It is. When I first shared about HPV and I was doing a goddess circle, and I remember leaving that circle after having shared, and I felt I had healed. There was such a lightness to me because I was no longer attached to the story and the stigma of quote unquote having HPV. And I really got to connect with other women that had, they had healed it, or they had gone through whatever they had to go through to reverse symptoms. Some of them had done surgery. Some of them had done it naturally. However they did it, I knew I wasn't alone. So when I wrote the book, I called it Thank You for HPV, and it's got several chapters, and it really is holistic in the terms of like I share my protocol for how I healed, mentally. The story, and this I use like Byron Katie's work, and I did Landmark, and all the different tools I had to really shift the way I thought about it. And that was the first. It's the first layer for me for healing it, because if I still am pissed off that I have HPV and I'm angry about it and I think there's something wrong with it,
you're not moving anywhere.
I'm not moving anywhere.
And that also makes sense because most people come to any struggle from a place of victimhood.
Yes.
And if you don't remove that victimhood, then there's a self-sabotage.
It is.
And you can't get past that.
And you could do all the, food healing protocols you want and all of that, but the underlying context is there's something wrong here and I got to fight it. So I named the book Thank You for HPV. And at first when you read it, because it's a sexually transmitted thing, people think it's kind of like a dig. Right. Like, thank you for giving me a virus. But it's really thank you, universe. Thank you, universe, for the gift of this challenge so I can wake the F up. And maybe you're smoking cigarettes. Maybe that's your wake-up call to stop smoking cigarettes. Maybe you always wanted to eat, like, organic and you wanted to become a vegetarian or whatever, and that was the wake-up call for you to, shift that lifestyle habit that you previously just it wasn't happening. And sometimes it's great when we can like have those shifts without those life moments stirring us up.
It would be a little bit easier.
Yeah, but of course we love the drama of life, right? Even though we say we don't, we love it. So sometimes it takes something really big for me to be like, whoa, maybe I should take some actions and some precautions with myself. Hi, welcome.
So
I love it,
and we don't need to have that happen. It could be it can be a really conscious kind of realization that I'm going to shift something. So by naming the book Thank You for HPV, I also wanted to bring attention to gratitude and the power of being in that, in that context of life. Is like whatever comes my way, I'm going to learn from it, and it's an opportunity for my soul to grow. And the bigger the opportunity for forgiveness and compassion and love, my soul loves that. My soul is here to master love and compassion and be all of that. So, anything that shows me how to be bigger than the identity, bigger than the small self, hallelujah, I welcome.
And it's very self-defined, that identity, based on those experiences.
It is.
So commonly I will share with my clients that whatever struggle they're stuck in, that first list of gratitude of, okay, so what is going well? And they find it so difficult to list when you're so saturated in a problem story or that narrative of this is awful, my life is over, no one's going to want to be right. All of those things that one typically would go through. Well, what is going well? And it's a struggle.
It
to
is.
get those minute little positive things that happen all around you.
The habit. It's a habitual way of thinking.
Absolutely.
If you're habitually complaining about what's wrong in your life, it's a brain pattern you've had for years. So to shift that really takes something. Like, when I sit down with clients, I get a lot of people who call me about HPV and that's the first thing I work out with them is the context and looking at being grateful for it. And what is there to be grateful for if I have a sexually transmitted virus? You really have to look. And the same thing applies for anything. And that's why I've opened up this publishing opportunity for people who are interested in writing their story. A lot of people out there have healed themselves. And I'm not saying it only has to be like with natural methods. If you've done a combination of Eastern and Western method and created an integrative healing protocol, and I'm going to say specific to you because how I reversed my symptoms of HPV may not work for you.
Right.
They may not. And you've got to discover what's going to work for you. And it's a combination of mind, body, and spirit because healing happens in layers. So, the mental part is, the work that we do to distinguish like our attachments, the stories we have about things, the context we have around how we live our lives, healing, disease, and a lot of primal issues, stuff from our childhood, and things we were taught as children. And then, of course, there's the actual physical healing, which each book, I think that part will be probably the most intricate and most detailed, because every condition has a different protocol, and the symptoms can be reversed with foods. Everything can be managed, can be prevented, and can be reversed. With that combination. So with the Thank You for HPV book, I really focus on, well, first of all, I think all diets, if you're confused about whether you should be vegetarian or vegan or blah, 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 start with, considering that an alkaline diet, right? An alkaline-based diet is an environment for health, right? So, and then from there, you can start to do your research and discover, what does that mean? What's an alkaline diet? And I actually pulled up a little quote about that.
Yeah.
Did you want to say?
Yeah, no, it just sounds like everything really has to be, it sounds like everything really has to be in balance.
Yes.
And isn't that the focus underlying of everything that you're looking for? Emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Balanced.
I remember when I found out I had HPV, the number one thing she told me, she's like, yeah, eat right, all that, but just avoid stress. And for a whole 2 years.
How do you avoid stress?
I know, right? I just, I was just like, right? How do you avoid stress? And it's just breathing. That's what really, I wasn't into yoga at that time. I just whatever stressed me out, if there was certain people that I started to know were toxic, I just let them go from my life and just made my group smaller and just around people who are positive.
So you protected your boundaries.
Yes.
It sounds like.
Yeah, because, people are going to come in your life and they're not always the best, and they're going to, not influence you the best, and they might, criticize you for something like having something like this. And so for me, it was she said no stress. That's it. I just focused on me that whole year. Then I came back and oh, you're great. I was like, great.
And that's really, that's the mental part of that, right? Is really surrounding ourselves in an environment that really is conducive to what you're up to. The spiritual part is also an important aspect of it, and often these kind of situations are what I call bring me to my knees situation. The kind of situations that teach you how to pray, situations that have you call for God, whatever God is for you, and it's an important part of the journey. It's it brings it all together, and that's why it's important that people share their journeys and what they've done to reverse things, because it gives us ideas, it gives us hope, it gives us motivation, it gives us a sense of there's other people out there, so I don't have to figure all this out, and I could reach out for help. And one thing that I'm also coming up against, not against, but one thing that is coming up is people want to write these books, and some I have a friend who wants to share, and she had HSV, which is herpes, and she wants to share so badly, but there's a sense of her that's still a little bit scared to put herself out there as that girl. But once you put yourself out there, or another person who wants to share, thank you for depression. There's such a shame and the stigma around depression. Oh, you shouldn't be depressed. Hello, you're human, and we live in a crazy world, and we have emotions, and we weren't taught how to manage anger, and we weren't taught how to manage, and we were told it was wrong to be upset or sad or cry. So we hold it all in, and then we call it depression because we're not connected to source.
And we all have that in our own way.
Yeah.
We all have that own invisible kingdom. A friend of mine wrote a book, Scott Fried, and it's all about that, mostly for teenagers. And he was diagnosed with HIV after one of his first encounters when he was younger, and he didn't know, what to do at that point in his life. And he's written this book called My Invisible Kingdom, and it's all about that shadow side of what do you really feel about yourself that not allows you to be who you need to be. So you're spot on with what you're sharing about that.
So I'm really inviting people to come forth if you've been thinking about writing a book, or perhaps you have reversed something, some disease, some condition, and you want to share it with the world because it's what makes a difference. I mean, I've been wanting to write a book forever, and it was always coming from an ego place of like having my own book. And then when all this went down and I actually reversed the symptoms and I knew myself as a healer, and I thought about all these women every single day that go to the gynecologist, go to Planned Parenthood, get told they have HPV, go home, and they don't tell anybody.
And
they
suffer in
hide.
silence.
They
Right.
suffer, and I get their letters and I hear them, and you know, it's important that we put ourselves out there. And it was scary for me at first. I'm like, what? I'm going to become the HPV girl, and I am. I'm known as the HPV girl, and I'm so honored. I'm so grateful. You know why? Because it saved my life. It saved my life. If I wake up in the morning and I have one email from somebody and I can help them move on with their lives and not get stuck in the trap of all that, hallelujah. You know?
Nice.
And at the beginning, it is a little scary to share yourself. It is a little like, you know, we're not taught to do that, to put ourselves out there. Oftentimes, I know in our families, it's like, keep your business to yourself.
Yep.
Don't put your business out there.
Don't be vulnerable.
Oh, no, do not.
But the world needs it, especially for something like this, like making that safe container of safe space to talk about subjects like this that people don't want to talk about. And it needs to be talked about. People need to know about this, how to protect themselves, and if it happens, how to heal. Like, it's so important. There's no more sweeping it under the rug anymore.
And that's where the shame comes from, right? Brene Brown talks about that specifically. So you're making the covert overt. And what we won't talk about or what we haven't talked about needs to be talked about, needs to be put on the table. It's normal.
Yes.
Everybody has something.
Yeah.
Physical, spiritual, emotional, everybody's got something.
And here's the thing with vulnerability, it's contagious. It is. You know, if you want to create an intimate environment, you want to create a community, open yourself up and get naked with people.
Yeah.
And people will come out of the closet and get naked with you this quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you draw that. Your energy shifts and you draw like-minded people. So
Well, people feel safe, you know. When you're not straight and you're kind of ambiguous, there's something kind of concerning for people about that. And you could even pretend like you're open and you're connected to people, but people can smell the show being put on. And you know, we can all feel when it's like just so real, you know, and just willing to be like, I'm not perfect, willing to be like, yeah, I got angry yesterday. You know, yesterday I sent an email out to my teachers and I started it with that, but then I moved it and I put it to the PS. But I just shared something like that. Like, you know, I got really angry today at somebody and I had a reaction and I just shared my process of it, you know. And then after I wrote it, I was like, gosh, do I really want to put out there that I'm a teacher trainer and I'm a coach and I get angry?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yes.
I do get angry. I'm human. And, you know, for me, the more I distinguish for that myself, like where I try to hide things, the more freedom I have.
Right. Don't you want to know that your guru, spiritual master struggles?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, my
Isn't that
God,
part
yes.
Isn't that part of that process?
I remember the first time
They
you
weren't born
opened
that
up
way.
about something. I was like, oh my God, wait, so she's not all the time. It's like, yes.
What did I tell you? I'm staying in my room for 3 days.
Yeah. You were like, I'm so pissed. I was breaking wood. I'm like, whoa, that's something I would do. And I thought I was just crazy, you know? And then just realized that, you know, we're all in a process. And you know what? Anger is a part of life too. And you can express it. And then you can choose how long you want to be in it.
And it's constantly unfolding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is such a great conversation, y'all. Listen, I want to go to a commercial break because I really want to come back and talk more about everything you're up to, Jason. I just want to I want to give you guys a couple of things. One thing I wanted to share today is a recipe. Talking about alkaline environment and healing foods. So I wanted to start downloading some recipes for y'all to make that are healing and delicious. And one of my favorite ones is the raw key lime pie. It's so easy to make, and I'm going to break it down real quick and then we'll put it on the website for you guys to download also. So the crust of it is made just simply with dates and almonds. So you take a handful of each, you put them in a food processor, and you blend it up till it's like, it comes out like a paste. And you can just spread it at the bottom of like a pie.
Tin.
Like a pie pan.
Thank you, pan.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you grab 4 small avocados, the Hass avocados. You grab about 10 limes. and you squeeze the limes. You put you drop the avocado into the blender, and then you also put about a cup of coconut oil and half a cup of agave. So it's 4 ingredients: avocado, lime, coconut oil, and agave. And agave is to taste. I know agave is still sugar, right? So we don't want to overdo it with the sugar. So put that in moderation. And you can also like sprinkle some on top after if you want it sweeter. So you blend up the avocado, lime, coconut oil, agave mixture, and it comes out like pudding. And if you want to make it even creamier, you can add more coconut oil. That's what brings the creaminess.
Is there samples here for us?
Yes, no. And then you just layer that on top of your crust, and you take the whole thing and you put it in the freezer. And guys, it could sit in the freezer forever. It's so awesome. And you can serve it right out of the freezer. It comes out like an ice cream. And then you can also take it out of the freezer and let it sit for like 30 to 40 minutes, and then it thaws into like this key lime pie. You don't know it's avocado, and you could serve it to children, serve it to people who have no idea what's in there, and they'll just be asking you for more. And what's so amazing about this, all these ingredients are superfoods, right? Avocados, super amazing superfood. Coconut oil, antiviral, amazing for so many things. Of course, lime. I mean, lime are known to kill cancer cells. Agave, I'm not so sure how healing it is, but like I said, be mindful about it. Almonds are oxygenating and
good protein.
What else? And dates are like high in fiber, high in magnesium. I mean, dates are magical
and they're
food.
super
delicious.
sweet, and they're really sweet too. I like them for a little sugar rush. I'll eat it.
Yes, they give you so much energy. So that was the recipe for this week. Let us know how you like it, how it turned out for you, and we're gonna go on a short break. Take a listen to our amazing sponsors, partners. We so appreciate all of your support. Those of you listening, those of you who comment, and those of you who are our sponsored partners. We love you, and we'll be right back right here on SoFloRadio.com.
Tune in to get tuned in. This is ZNation on SoFloRadio.com.
Add a twist of yoga.
Yoga Twist with Julie.
A great way to integrate yoga, meditation, and lots of fun.
Promote family bonding. Help with flexibility and exercise.
Julie has been teaching kids for over 8 years in after-school programs, summer camps, and local studios.
Book a group, family, or one-on-one session now. Email me, yogatwistjulie@gmail.com.
Follow Yoga Twist Julie on Instagram and like Yoga Twist on Facebook for great family lifestyle tips and Yoga Twist events.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Clark, and I'm a yoga teacher and student at I Love Yoga Studio. It's been my privilege to practice, learn, and expand in this place of ever-evolving love and spiritual growth. When you visit, you'll most likely be greeted with a welcome home, and that's exactly how you will feel, at home and free to be. The studio offers yoga classes that meet you at your level of practice with affordable prices. So check out our schedule at www.iloveyogastudio.com. See you on the mat. Namaste.
Join the ZNation team as a marketing partner. We are always looking for conscious, sustainable businesses to support and share with our growing community. If your business is one that serves humanity and you want the world to know, we want to help you grow. Sponsorship opportunities are available for all budgets and flavors. For more info, call us at 954-604-1290 or visit ZNationRadio.com.
Now, back to ZNation, your weekly dose of inspiration on SoFloRadio.com.
Hey, we got Brooke Redick in the house from bringing us her song she just wrote called Fly. Welcome, sister. Welcome.
Thank you.
Bless us
So
with
much
your
for having me.
yes.
All right, this one's brand new, so hope it comes out.
We're honored.
Thank you. Perfect. I remember when I first saw you, I knew right then you could break my heart. Oh, my poor heart. far away. Oh, why do we have to fall so far from the sky? Is this how it's to be? No more you and me. Hold me now, tell me true. Tell me how to love you. 'Cause this love is the hardest thing, harder than any gold ring. Now I'm picking up pieces of myself, my wealth, it is life itself. I don't have much else, but you have always been so kind to me, and I see what I must do. It's for you too. Oh, why do we have to fall so far from the sky? Is this how it's to be? No more you and me. Hold me now, tell me true. Tell me how to love you. 'Cause this love is the hardest thing, harder than any gold ring. And I feel like I could die, but I'll close my eyes and fly high.
That was so beautiful. I love it. Where can I find your music?
Well, I'm working on that.
But please let us know, because like
Yes.
you have a beautiful voice, and
Thank
I really
you.
love that
That
song.
was beautiful. Brooke just moved in with me. We're starting a girl kirtan band.
Yeah.
I'm working on a
Thank
website
you.
and all that, but right now I guess the only place to find me is on Facebook. That's Brooke Redick.
We'll share it. Thank you for
Nice.
being here,
Thank
Brooke.
you.
It's funny, as you were singing, I was looking at your flyer, Jason. It says, emotions such as fear, anger, grief, and many others can negatively affect us long after the original event that caused them. And it's just a little baby.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know...
Don't we all feel that way sometimes?
Yes. And, you know,
Right?
you were so, like... You sing with so much emotion, you know, and it was so, I just, the parallel there. But yeah, we bring it all into our adulthood, and, you know, like Sunset, like you were sharing, about how stuff from your childhood is showing up in your relationships now. And like I was thinking about that, how we all are like playing out our daddy issues with the men in our lives. And, and then we're like aware of it, and then we're like working through letting it go and shifting that. But that's why you come in. That's what you do.
That's what I do.
So Jason Wasser, you have family room psychotherapy right here in
Yeah,
Hollywood,
right around the
Florida.
corner.
You literally walked over here. You can walk over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you are a licensed marriage and family therapist. You're also a certified addiction professional, and you're a certified neuro-emotional technique practitioner. And that is, I want to really talk a lot about that. And that is what you bring to all, and you do a lot more things. I know you're licensed and certified in many things. But the neuro-emotional technique is something that you're bringing to everything that you do.
Yes. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
really an amazing, amazing protocol that I stumbled upon a few years ago.
Yes.
I was actually a client before I became a practitioner.
Ah,
So that's kind of
okay.
how it unfolded for me. And I knew there was many things out there. I've tried tons of different things. And when I sat in my therapist's chair doing it, it was kind of like, I need to be doing this. This is it. This is what works. And this is so profound and so simple.
So just to be clear, so if people are having, are dealing with things in their lives, they would go to a psychologist,
Sure.
a therapist. So you're somebody people would go to that would have whatever issues.
Anything from kids,
Anything.
couples, families, military, LGBT
digestion.
community, well, typically they wouldn't necessarily know they're coming to me for digestion.
Yes.
But that's one of the things that I'm looking at is what are their physical
Because you look at
symptoms
the whole
as
thing
well.
holistically.
Whole mind body integrated
So
wellness.
you're like the next level therapist. Like you take the person as a whole and work with them as a whole.
Right. We're not looking for a diagnosis. We're not looking for pathology. We're looking at emotional patterns. We're looking at stress patterns. And this protocol, neuro-emotional technique, or NET, helps find the body's physiological stress pattern and helps you remove them. And it's
Okay.
very concise.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit how you came to this? Like, is that what you majored in? Like, when you were in college, you went to school for psychology?
Yeah, my master's degree was in marriage and family therapy. I used to not do counseling before this. I was a youth and camp programming and community work, and very involved in the Jewish community here in New York, New Jersey, and Georgia. Spent some time in Israel, so I've always been wandering. And during that wandering, there was always like, okay, there's always something more.
Yeah.
Out there. And when I found my grad school at Nova in the family therapy program, I'm like, wow, this is great. They take the whole family system or your life system, and I'm like, wow, that's great. They get it. And then I started seeing other things. I'm like, there's something missing still. And then I started finding these mind-body protocols in different practitioners, different modalities. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I never thought about doing it myself until I stumbled upon this. And this really opened up that rabbit hole of healing for me as a practitioner, where there's very few mental health professionals that are doing this.
Right. Because it combines a few different modalities. And I know some people are maybe doing chiropractic or doing Chinese medicine. So this brings those together.
It does. So as a body practitioner, you can adjust. You can touch the person's body. You can do the acupuncture treatment, or fix a subluxation, which is what an adjustment, what they're doing with an adjustment. I can't necessarily do that, but they created the protocol to be able to be, whether you're a mind doc or a body doc, you can still have the same results, and it really doesn't matter which way you do it.
So how is this developed? Somebody took these together and put it together?
Yeah, so Dr. Scott Walker is a chiropractor in California. And he, many years ago, was practicing, and he went to a conference. This is the story I heard, so I don't know, could be a little bit different, but this is what I heard in my in the tradition. And he was at a conference with another chiropractic colleague, and they were talking about chronic stress patterns with clients who had car accidents. They would go in, they would get the adjustment. They would feel great. They would do a muscle test, see if there was any subluxations, or, they would feel wonderful. They would leave. They would come back a day later, 2 days later, same thing would happen again. They were out of alignment. They needed an adjustment again, and over and over and over. So they're like, what's going on? So the person who was doing this training, I think her name was Jennifer LaMonica, who was a chiropractor, and said that when the clients started talking about the accident while adjusting them, it held. The adjustment held, and it went away. So he started processing this. Okay, so what happens if it holds while you're thinking about a car accident? What can happen when you're thinking about a stressor, a self-sabotaging belief, an idea that you have in a relationship, an experience? Where does the body store and carry that?
Oh my God.
So he started dabbling into Chinese medicine tradition and taking the beauty of the meridian system and finding body pulse points and how you can track a body pulse point to a specific list of emotions that are connected to each body organ along that meridian.
So Chinese medicine already has that knowledge of
Absolutely.
the emotions being connected to the organs, connected to the meridian. Oh, and he took that.
And he took that from that perspective. So you can look at someone based on how they're talking to you, based on how they're exhibiting their behavior, and they will say, oh, there's their constitution is one of those 5 elements, whether it's wood, water, right, metal, and those are the 5 elements that are there. So you can kind of see how you have a dominant disposition, but that can become pathology over a certain period of time. So you kind of an imbalance in that meridian that may not show up as an issue in that organ, but eventually if it's a kidney meridian issue and you're dealing with kidney issue, which could be fear, the emotion of fear, eventually you can have something going on with your kidney down the road if it doesn't get resolved. So it may not be an issue with that actual organ, but it's along the pathway, the energetic pathway to that organ. So he started taking that. Then he started doing research in homeopathy and finding that the body's natural vitalism, the body knows how to naturally heal itself when you feed it the right things, as you were saying before, right? With nutrition and taking care of yourself. So the homeopathy goes down to a cellular level and helps the body rejuvenate itself with that extra kick to put it back in the path. So that was one of the other things. And then he started, as a chiropractor, they look at integrative nutrition, and they started using certain nutritional supplements, and they created this home run formula where you look at whatever the issue is, you put the issue on the pitcher's mound, and then you have this picture of go to first base, that will be the emotions. Second base, you check the toxicity, which would be homeopathy.
Okay, can you back up a little bit?
Yeah.
So you go to the emotions.
Right.
What do you do with that?
Well, you don't have to. You can check it in any order, but there would be the standard NET protocol would be to find the physiology using a muscle test.
Okay.
Which would be a manual muscle test.
Yes.
Indicating whether the brain's limbic system, the non-conscious part of your brain, is responding to a trigger or a semantic, whether it's a phrase such as "I'm okay doing this show." To test that.
Yes.
If it goes weak, there's a trigger. You would then use either a wrist entry, finding the pulse point, or the body points that are mapped out in applied kinesiology to find that.
So that's kinesiology.
That's come from kinesiology and Chinese medicine mixed together.
You just merged them together, right?
Well, that
there.
is. I
so
think
you did
Dr.
the muscle testing, and then you connect the part with the Chinese medicine.
Dr. Goodhart was the founder of applied kinesiology, who was a chiropractor who did this research and started melding Chinese medicine meridian points with chiropractic techniques, and this is an offshoot of
That's so inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like taking yoga and then mixing it with Reiki, and then also with the meridians. You can also take the meridians and create a practice that's specific towards, like you said, the spleen and dealing with fear. But he did.
You go right to it,
yes.
and you can assess immediately what's going on where.
Wow.
That's how fast it is.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, can we do something?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we can I can teach everybody just a simple mind-body stress reduction protocol. So this is not standard NET, but it's called the FAST technique, which
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So it's the first aid stress technique. So when you know that you have on your wrist, there's 4 pulse points, starting from where your thumb would be, and you have 3 immediately after the wrist. So it's kind of between the bone and that. It's that fleshy point between the bone on the side and that cartilage right there. So if you're on the outside of your wrist, so if you're holding your wrist out, what you would do is you would first have a thought that's distressing to you, something that's bothering you, something that you've been, just annoyed about. And what you do is you hook under, depending on whichever side you want to. You want to hook under. So you can start with your left hand first. Hook your right hand under your left hand. And you want to find, and I'm going to kind of show you from here, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Right on that point. So you're really going from the bend of your wrist. So right there. There you go. Right? So the bend of your wrist, 1, 2, those are the 3 main pulse points. And then what you would do is you would connect that with the 2 emotional points that are on your forehead. And you would put it across your forehead. And all you're literally doing, if you want to kind of either slump over or put your elbows on your knees, which would typically be more comfortable when we're not sitting here, and you want to go just into that distressing feeling, what you're doing is you're stimulating those 3 pulse points on that wrist corresponding to the different meridians. You're not trying to change anything. You're not trying to do anything with it, but just focusing on the stressor. And you want to take 15, 20, 30 seconds, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Just breathing through it. Again, you're not trying to change anything because the goal is to get neutral. At a certain point, your body will tell you you're going to want to switch, and you're going to want to do the same thing on the other wrist. You're going to hook under and do 1, 2, 3. Pop it back up against your forehead, which has the 2 emotional points. And just continue to breathe through that. And you will know, you'll start feeling a little bit of a release. a little bit of a disconnect. Maybe it'll feel a little bit more distant to you. It won't be as charged. So this is something that one can do multiple times a day, depending on what's going on, just as we sat and meditated before, right? Imagine doing this while you're meditating. So this is going to be a whole nother paradigm,
level, yeah.
right? But this is more about a distressing feeling. So this is not the NET protocol. This is just a simple take-home. You can do this anywhere you're going.
So you get triggered somewhere and you're pissed off or you're angry. And
hook under, connect to the emotion points.
Hook under, cook the... And it looks like, it's natural. Like, when you're upset or whatever, you would just go you put your hand on your forehead. It just feels comforting just putting it there. But I hear you. There is a distance that happens. Like, I started feeling like lighter.
Right. So it's not going to solve everything, but it definitely helps eliminate, because you don't know where you're going with it. You don't know which meridian's being most active, but it's definitely something that's kind of, just enough to get you through to your next session with someone like me or anybody else who can help you, with whatever it is that's going on.
I know, right?
I know.
That works.
Not that you aren't feeling groovy before, right? So, yeah.
So you integrate mind-body techniques into all that you do. So people come to you for marriage, family things. So how does that work? How do you do that?
So coming from even though my background wasn't so traditional in my program at Nova, we still had a lot of freedom, since a lot of our training incorporated hypnosis and Milton Erickson's theory of hypnosis. So there was a lot of cutting edge stuff that we were already doing, but this also goes, like you said, that next step. So I started taking this and, let's say, working with a couple. I was wondering, I had a couple I was seeing months, and they would get better, but there was something that was still not there. Like, it was just, what's going on? So I'm like, what? I want to figure out, is there an emotional allergy to the other person?
Wow.
Right?
Emotional allergy.
Right? No one thought of it.
Who made up that word?
I don't
know. Is this
know.
emotional allergy?
Whatever.
Tell us more about emotional
so
allergy.
We have allergies to food, right? We have allergies to pollen. We have allergies to cockroaches, right? Depending on, right, if you live in South Florida, you can have that actual. So, but what about actually being allergic to somebody else? Because when you look at someone, you're perceiving whatever you interpret of them, right? You're projecting whatever that unfinished business is onto them, right? That imago, the image, and you have a trigger. You have a respond to that. So I may be looking at both of you, and something might be unconsciously triggered in my mind that will cause a physiological stressor.
But wait, the what's being triggered, you said, is what's incomplete within you?
Potentially. It can have nothing to do with me that I picked up or carried, that I experienced.
Something
Right, and that somehow got stuck in there as a unresolved stressor.
And then you look at somebody and it pushes that trigger.
Right, without even knowing why.
You don't even realize
right.
why.
Wow.
So
that's happened to me before. Yeah. I've met somebody and I just looked at them. I didn't talk to them, and I just instantly got angry at them. I was just like, I know I'm not going to like you. And I felt so bad. I'm like, I don't even know this person.
Right?
Yeah.
That's called an emotional
allergy. I would call that an emotional allergy.
Oh my God. That would make sense.
Right? It's our stuff.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
But if you don't have the tools to figure out what it is, and you're just constantly going to be dealing with that dynamic. So I took this couple, I left the wife in my office, and I took the husband out to my waiting room. And I'm like, okay, think about your wife. And, she's in the other room, and thought about her, muscle tested, was strong. So there was no trigger there. I had him peek around into the door, just peek, and muscle tested him again, and immediately it went weak. So as I brought him closer and closer, I went through the protocol, figured out what triggers were there, which meridian was there, and we cleared it out, the neuro-emotional complex, that compilation of stressors, physiological, emotional triggers, cleared it out one by one. And then brought him closer.
What does clear it up mean? What does that look like?
So basically what we did with the first aid stress tool is the
first aid.
Right.
Okay, you're going to share that too.
Which stress tool, which is what we did with hooking under.
Oh, that was the first aid stress tool.
But that's a global thing.
Okay.
What I would do would be more localized. We would find the specific emotion.
Oh, I got
you.
We
would find the specific time it became a trigger. And we would then find the right meridian and then use that specific meridian with that specific memory.
That was a general
That's a general. That's why it's first aid.
But the idea is getting very specific on what the event was that triggered that trigger emotion.
Absolutely. And we can access the limbic system. The muscle test accesses the part of the brain, the fight or flight response. That's why the muscle test is like going to the doctor and they hit your knee with the little hammer, the patellar test. That's the same thing. That's a neurological response. So that's a physical response, but this tests the functional neurology of your brain of what's going on, fight or flight. Are you okay with it, or is there an emotional trigger to it that something's going on that can be a physical symptom. It can be an emotional symptom. And that's the muscle test and why it's so congruent with that.
So you said you used to do hypnosis.
Yes.
And what you used to do in hypnosis that would take you an hour now takes
Yeah.
minutes.
So I had a client that I started seeing, a teenage girl who was coming in for panic attacks. And typical protocol it's very, very common, right? But the panic attacks were like 4, 5, 6 times a day.
Oh my God.
So you're thinking the average practitioner will be like, okay, let's get you on anti-anxiety medication, and you're going to be in therapy for the next 3 months. By the end of session 2, there was no more panic attacks. We just did this with the homeopathy protocol, and it was gone in 2 sessions. So we're talking about 120 minutes total between 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow. That's very impressive in terms of like what's happening right now with teenagers and
Oh my God, yeah.
the sedation that is happening with the meds to be able to
As young as babies is the medication at this point, and 3-year-olds. And when I was a school therapist, they had a 3-year-old on Adderall.
What?
Please don't say that.
Yep, it's out there. It's out there. But to do these things, it's so simple. It's available. to
Yes.
us. You have to know what to find. But
Jason,
this is
how
why
do people how do you explain this to people who don't know the world of what's invisible and what's possible?
Right. So
beyond?
the simplest way I will call it is a mind-body stress reduction protocol.
Yeah.
That's it. And we use a simple muscle test to determine whether your body carries a response to a trigger. And we can find that, figure out where it's coming from, and clear it out.
Wow.
And it may look weird to the person who's never seen it before, but it is all clinically researched. Pretty much every single step of the protocol has clinical research backing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're doing at Jefferson Medical School in Philadelphia, they're doing a cancer study with this of someone who, people have been diagnosed with cancer, reliving their cancer diagnosis experience as if it's been a PTSD trigger. So they're taking those clients, those patients, putting them through functional MRIs, mapping the brain of what happens when they relive that experience, then doing 4 treatments of NET. I'm sorry, they're also drawing their blood during pre and drawing their blood post, which is being sent to Harvard for that analysis. And they're already finding, based on what they're coming up with just on the brain mapping, within 4 sessions of this, there is no lighting up in the brain for any area related to this stressor.
It's like
That's before the blood. That's before the
quantum
blood.
psychotherapy.
Yeah.
Mixed with everything we know about, like you said, Esther Hicks and The Secret, and bringing it together to science.
Well, the
Yeah.
science person that verified this was Dr. Candace Pert at the National Institute of Health. So she wrote an amazing book called Molecules of Emotion that talks about the neuropeptides of our DNA actually carry that emotional signal. So that's why you can have a pain in your back that can be from somebody, a stress from something going on in your life, even though it's in your back.
You know, you see that in books like, is it Louise Hayes that has the Heal Your Body book, right?
Right.
And it's been, it's so abstract, it's so woo-woo, and it's been like, if you're in the conscious yoga world, that makes sense to you, and you could make sense of that because you know about chakras and all the unseen. But now bringing it into the whole world and talking about it with science, and not only science,
Validated science, but-
performance and,
Right.
and actual results.
Yeah, and you can impact all different types of people with this. Not just people who are in the holistic community, like impacts everyone who wants more of that analytical. So
Because
it's
you
awesome.
can connect up the original experience. You can muscle test for the original experience when that happened in your life. Birth, 2 years old, 4 years old. I had just a quick little story. I had a client who
Please.
came in and I did an inner intake form, had nothing to do with whatever this original issue was. And we jumped right into it, and it came up, there was the emotion that came up was abandonment. And we've traced back the original event where there was abandonment about this whatever issue, the connection between the two. And it came up as a muscle test to 2 years old. And I'm like, what happened at 2 years? This is 8 minutes into our first session. So I know
so
nothing.
you can check the age of when somebody
carry that first conscious or
Oh my
unconscious
And are
trigger
you doing that with the muscle
with the
testing?
muscle test.
Just
And
with the
it's-
muscle
yeah.
test.
And you're saying it out loud
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
Let's check the concept of conception to birth, birth to 5, right? And then so it goes weeks. So let's check at birth, 1 year old, 2 years old. So 1 week at 2 years old, I'm looking at her, I'm like, what happened? Like 2 years old, where were you? Like what was going on? She's like, I was given up for adoption then. Right. Wasn't in her intake form.
Wow.
Was right there. It was just all related to what she was doing today. And I turned to her and I said, how many sessions would you have to come here in order for that to be shared with me? She's like, it wasn't even anywhere near on my mind to even ever to maybe 10 sessions in, I would share, oh yeah, by the way, I was adopted. But it went right there because that's what the present day stressor was about, was connected all the way back to that abandonment at 2 years old, and everything was built upon that. So you find the right Jenga piece, and
but
you yank it out.
You would do hypnosis, right? I mean, I feel like with hypnosis, you could get to those.
Absolutely.
But it's almost like you're in the dark digging for something. And this is a very specific.
As streamlined as you can possibly imagine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool because,
very cool.
it really is. We know that things from our past impact us in our present. Like, we know it conceptually, but to actually get to the source like that is amazing.
And know where and why and how, whether it's our emotion or our sensitivity to somebody else's stuff. And because that's really the only two ways it is. And the world is really divided into three things: love, money, and the inner you, right? So it's the world of relationships, the world of things, right? Money is really a thing, time, space, energy, right? That's the world of things. And then you, all the personalities in which you play and all the relationships in which you play it in, the inner you, your identity. So we can find out using those paradigms to find out where the core unresolved stressors are.
Jason, we have like a few minutes left.
Sure.
We have time, but I have so much I want to talk to you about, and I kind of want to. Is there anything that you want to share? Any specific topic that you want to put out there, or any message that you want to give to people who are not familiar with this world that they can learn more about or get more into what's available here?
So I know that if you want to do it from a reading perspective, Candace Pert would be a great place to start. Molecules.
Candace
Pert, P-E-R-T.
Oh, she's one of the Molecules
she wrote
of
that, Molecules of Emotion, and she wrote that book. There's also Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, which is also fantastic. So when you read those two books together, you'll get a wonderful global understanding of what's going on. And then obviously if you go to movies like The Secret or What the Bleep, which takes the quantum mechanics of science and emotions and all of that.
That movie was like before its time almost. We need to watch it again.
It took me a few years to actually get through it because I wasn't a vessel for it at that point.
Wow.
So now looking back, I'm like, oh my goodness, like that was I just wasn't there yet. My mind and body didn't catch up to it when I first read it. So when I first saw it. But as far as finding out more about NET, you can go to their website, netmindbody.com. So netmindbody.com. And then my website, thefamilyroomsfl.com, and then /net would be the whole area.
Awesome. And you also do work with people that are not here in South Florida, so you can do work with people over the phone and over Skype.
Absolutely. So what I would do is I would kind of sort through all the stuff that they're going through with them. I would do that assessment that'll help me streamline what's going on where, and I would kind of help them create, whether if it's body related or mind, emotional related, and create a list of things to work on. And then I would help them find a practitioner in their area that can go and do this work with them. And there's all over the world: Australia, Israel, Europe, there's America. Pretty much every state has a NET practitioner. So I would help them find someone local to them. They go in and they go clear it out. It's so much more of a streamlined process. Yes. So it's kind of like coaching them to get to where they need to get.
Yes.
And then shipping them off to like, okay, boom, 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 you're done. And then come back when you need your next, consultation.
So good news. You're not stuck with who you became.
Right.
Yep.
Who you turned out. And we've all turned out, however we turned out, and it's all perfect. And, being able to undo the neural pathways, being able to reprogram ourselves is really what this is about.
Absolutely.
And it's very streamlined and scientific, and it's available.
And a lot simpler than you think, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
And readily available.
Isn't it always like that, though? It's just so simple.
Yeah.
Eat right and exercise. God damn it.
Amen.
It sounds so easy.
Be kind and generous, okay?
Have gratitude.
Don't take anything personally, okay?
If we learn that when we're really, really young, it probably won't be so hard. But things are changing. We're teaching the kids now, like, hey, don't take it personal.
Right. 4 agreements for children,
just
right?
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Jason.
you very much.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And, I'm really present to the work you've put in, the studying you've put in, the work you've put in, and the passion that you have for helping people. And I would imagine it came from a space of helping yourself, because that's where it starts.
Yeah. We're all looking for healing.
Absolutely. We teach what we need to learn the most, says a frantic yoga teacher. So we're gonna pause and do a little meditation together. This is a 40-day Kriya that I've taken on. I'm on day 4, 5, 6. I'm on day 6 of the meditation for a calm heart. I learned it this weekend with my teacher in Shakti dance, and it comes from the Kundalini Yoga by Yogi Bhajan lineage. And it's very simple, you guys, and it works. You can do this for 3 minutes a day, up to 11 minutes, up to whatever you want, really. But I've been doing it for 5 minutes a day. And sometimes more, because I teach it in my classes, and I've been doing it with my students too. So it's very simple. It's a 4-part breath. You breathe in as much as you can into the nose, and then you hold the breath in. It's breath retention. Breath retention helps us deal with issues like with anger.
This is a guided body scan.
And the anger, when we're able to be with anger without reacting to it, we learn how to just let it pass, like breath, like thoughts, like water under a bridge. And then when we exhale, you exhale all the breath out. And when you exhale, you retain the breath out. It's a little bit harder to hold the breath out. And when we hold the breath out of the body, it helps us deal with issues around fear, because it's scary as heck to sit without breath in the body. So you're going to please sit up tall if you can. And you're going to place your left hand onto the heart, on the heart chakra. And it's a little bit of a pressure pressing down with the palm on the chest, reminding you to breathe into the heart and to breathe out of the heart. All right? And then you're going to lift the right hand so the palm is facing forward. And you're going to bring your thumb and index fingers together to touch lightly, pressing one into the other. And just go inwards. Move your attention, this beautiful awareness that we all have that is experiencing the senses. The observer that can smell, the observer that is seeing, the observer that is hearing my voice. And now begin this breath, breathing in deeply into your nose. And hold the breath in. Be gentle with yourself, no straining, just relaxing the face. The breath is held in. And then gradually exhale, let the breath out. And hold the breath outside of the body. Do not inhale yet. Now inhale, gently inhale all the way back in. Hold the breath in. Relax your lips, your jaw. And exhale the air out. Hold the breath out. And now inhale. Hold it in. And exhale. Hold it out. And inhale. One more time. Hold the breath in. Relax your shoulders, your heart, your throat, your tongue. And just exhale all the air out of the body and hold the breath out. And relax everything. Just release your hands to the lap. Feel this. Feel us bliss out together. Bring our hearts to calmness. Feel our hearts open together as we discover all the amazing people on the planet who are doing amazing things. As we are leading the way with love, unaffected by the tricks of fear, unaffected by the illusion of ego. We keep opening our hearts because we have each other and we're not alone. You're not alone. We know you're doing the work out there. We know you're spreading the light, and we so appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Do.
And just keep that going. Keep hustling love. Keep hustling light. Keep hustling transformation. Keep hustling art and music. We love you. Bless up. Namaste. Peace.
Namaste. Peace out, everybody.
You're listening to SoFloRadio.com.